triangle concept, first and foremost, you'll see three big routes. All right. The first one is a post. The second one is a dig. And the third one is what we call a sideline route. All right. That could be an out route. That could be a comeback. That could be a corner. That could be a curl. Our sideline route is going to be anything that has a break point that's roughly around 12 yards or more from the line of scrimmage. All right. And it's going to finish or work towards the sideline and end up somewhere between the numbers and the sideline, give or take. Sometimes it might be a little bit inside the numbers, but for the most part, we want to be at that 12-yard range or more, and then working towards the sideline in some way, shape, or form. All right. And then with those three big routes, we'll have what we call our short routes. All right. Our short routes are any routes that are 5 yards or less from the line of scrimmage. All right. One of those routes will come from a receiver. All right. So that could be a shallow route. It could be a flat route. It could be a hitch. It could be any number of things as long as it's not really getting past that 5-yard range. It might get to 6 every once in a while, but you want to be in that 5-yard or less from the line of scrimmage range. And then the second short route usually is going to come from the running back. All right. This could be a swing route, a spot route, an angle, flat, burst, any one of those types of deals. We're going to get those routes underneath with those short routes. All right. And then you have your big 3 routes to stretch vertically and stretch horizontally and get those high lows working from there. All right. So first and foremost, how we install our triangle concept. The easiest way I've found to install this concept is to just go with the basic drive route concept. Now, this is something that pretty much any team in the country that runs drop back probably has some variation of this drive concept in there. It's your basic high-low concept where you have a shallow crosser, you got to dig, and then you have your other routes surrounding it. It's the easiest way to install this concept, this triangle concept, that also forces the QB to also learn it in a fashion where they have to understand their reads, their triangle reads, where their eyes need to go, etc. All right, so let me first start off with how we install our F drive or our drive concept, and then it'll kind of build into why we call it the triangle system. And then we'll work through some different tags we use to start maneuvering the pieces around and change up our looks and change up our matchups. So first and foremost, when we're running our drive concept, we'll start off in 2x2. We can very easily do this out of 3x1 as well, but we'll start off in 2x2 and we'll tag our drive route. So here you can see we're in what we call diamond right. That's the formation. 63 is the protection, and then F drive. So our F is being tagged on the drive route. The drive route means he's running that shallow cross. So when we're teaching the shallow cross, we're teaching it to him like this. We want to run a shallow route that's going across the field. All right, it's going to be roughly about 4 to 6 yards, again, depending on how the backers play it and where that lane of access works out for them. Somewhere in that 4 to 6 yard range is where that shallow crosser is going to go. All right, the initial coaching point is aim for the toes of the first linebacker in the box. So you can see here we got our F. All right, he's going to look for this first linebacker in the box, that Mike linebacker right there. All right, and he's going to aim for his toes pre-snap. Now, once the ball snapped, that backer can move. He might drop into coverage. He might blitz, etc. Any of those things can happen, but that's his initial starting point. The only time he wouldn't aim for that guy's toes is if that guy was super deep for some reason, or if that guy was really tight down to the line of scrimmage. At that point, I'd be like, work to about 4 or 5 yards from the line of scrimmage and get across. But aim for the toes of that linebacker in the box and then get across the formation from there. Your goal in that shallow cross route is to get to the opposite side of the tackle box, and then from there you have a decision to make. All right, we tell him if it's man, you want to stay on the run. If it's zone, you want to punch and pivot, and you want to set up about 1 yard outside of the tight end or the ghost tight end if there is no tight end on the field. All right, the other way you can coach this to those guys is tell them, do you have green grass or not? All right, if you're getting a man coverage and this corner's man with the post and this safety is either man with the tight end or it's cover one and he's over the top, whatever it might be, and there's nobody out here in this flat area right there, then you keep that thing on the move. All right, keep running. You obviously got a man that's in man-to-man coverage with you, so you don't want to stay covered. You want to keep it on the move. You want to take advantage of that space and keep stretching that play towards that sideline there. If you have closed grass or a closed window, you get cover 3 and this safety spins down, or you got some sort of cover 2 or cover 4 and that backer really pushes wide out there and he's controlling that flat. All right, that's where you're going to want to set that down right outside that tackle box here. All right, punch and pivot and sit in that open window. Don't run to get covered if there's a guy sitting out there right there. All right. So the other piece with this route is you are also the hot route for the QB. So if both linebackers in the box, we got Mike and Will right here, both Mike and Will blitz, you got to be that hot read for the QB. You got to get your eyes to the QB right now and be ready to hit that get that throw on you quick. Now, I say you got to get both linebackers blitzing for you to become the hot route. If only one linebacker blitzes, they blitz the Will or they blitz the Mike only, you keep that thing on the move and you run it like normal, because if one of those guys doesn't blitz and you sit there for the hot throw, A, you're going to screw up the read for the QB, and B, if that QB throws it to you, you're going to get knocked out by the other linebacker that's in the box. So it's got to be a two-backer blitz. It's got to be an empty box blitz from that standpoint. Both those guys come downhill and hit that B gap or hit their gaps inside. Then you're looking for the hot. If one of those guys stays or both of those guys stay, you're running it like normal. All right, now from there, we start talking about our three big routes. All right, where do we position our three big routes once we've determined who the drive concept is? So we'll start it, make it simple. The number one receiver to the side of the field that the drive route is tagged. So in this case, the F is on the left side. The number one receiver to the left side, he's going to run our sideline route. If we don't tag the route, the base sideline route is our out route. For us, when we run the out route, we run it 10, roll to 12 yards. All right, I say roll to 12 because we want this to be a speed cut out. So we're going to bust it vertically. We're going to sell vertical, sell vertical, sell vertical. We get to 10 yards. We're going to drop that outside shoulder, and we're going to roll into that cut, speed cut it to the sideline. All right, and again, speed cutting this because we want to make sure when we're throwing anything towards the sideline, defenders naturally have inside leverage, and if we hard angle break that, that gives that DB, it might be this safety over here, it might be a corner over top. If you break it down and work away from the quarterback, it gives him a chance to undercut that throw. All right, so it's got to be a speed cut. Anytime you're running routes that are going towards the sideline like this, you want those to be speed cuts so that defenders can't undercut it. All right, so our sideline concept is going to be the number one receiver to the side of the field that the drive route is tagged. All right, our second big route, our big three, our post, he's going to come. That's going to come from the number one receiver opposite the tag drive route. All right, so F is the drive, so the X is our number one receiver opposite. All right, he's got our big post. Our big post, we say, is a 7-step post, or you're running to the toes of the DB. So if you got a DB that's playing off coverage and he's not, and you break his cushion at 5 steps, you can cut this early. More often than not, they should be getting depth if you're threatening them vertically well enough, and you're going to hit that at 7 steps. I really don't like to give a yardage on it because every receiver is going to take a different amount of time to get to that yardage based on their steps and how much ground they cover. So for timing purposes, the easiest way is I've found is to say, let's just say whatever your 7 steps are, on that 7th step, stick that outside foot, hit that post. Now, when you're running that post, the big coaching point here is you want to make sure that you do not cross the hash. All right. We don't want to cross the hash because we want to give that quarterback space to throw that football inside and bring us inside if the post is open. But we don't want to cross the hash because if we do that, that means he's got to throw the ball further towards the middle of the field, and that might give this backside safety a chance to leak into the picture, all right, and potentially get a pick or rob that post, and that quarterback might not see it. So we want to keep that post pretty high. Usually for those outside receivers running that 7-step post, I tell them, make sure when you come out of your break, your aiming point is about halfway between the hash and the numbers. Keep it vertical through there, and then the quarterback can bring you further inside to the hash if necessary. The third big route is our dig route. All right, the dig route is going to come from the inside receiver that is not tagged with the drive route. So I say inside receiver not tagged with the drive route because if we go 3-by-1, both inside receivers are going to be on the same side. So whoever's not tagged with the drive route is going to run the dig. All right, I got a picture of that here in a second, so you'll see what I mean if that's not quite clear. All right, but in this case, it's 2-by-2. So the second inside receiver is opposite, so it's pretty clear cut here who has the dig. In this case, it's the Y. He's going to run our dig. Our dig route, big coaching point here, we have got to get to 12 yards, and then we got to hard angle break it coming across the middle of the field here, and we have got to keep this thing flat down the line. We can't drift upfield on this right here, all right, because if this safety's playing it and we start to drift, he's going to undercut that dig, and then we're going to be in a world of hurt right there. So we want to make sure we get to 12 yards and then break it across, all right? We can't run it at 11. We don't want to run it at 13 because that starts to create problems in terms of when you're getting through the correct dig windows. So it's got to be at 12. Now, every guy's going to be different in terms of when they break it down. This tight end here, he may not be athletic in and out of breaks, he might have to start breaking down at 8 yards. That is what it is. I mean, it might take him 4 yards to slow down enough to be able to hit it at 12 and come flat across. Some receivers might be running the dig, and they can obviously cut it a little quicker, and they might only have to start breaking down at 10 yards. Each guy's got to figure out their specific point in time where they have to start breaking down, but they got to get to 12, and they got to get across and stay at 12. All right. And then our second short route is going to come from our back, like I said. All right. In this case, he's got a spot route. Now, we will tag our running back route through the use of our protection tag. So you can see here, our protection 63. So anything odd, the back is going to release to the left. Anything even, the back is going to release to the right. And the second number will tell the back what route he's running. If it's a 0 or a 1, he's going to run a burst route. If it's a 2 or a 3, he's going to run a spot route. If it's a 4 or a 5, he's going to run that swing route. If it's a 6 or a 7, he's going to run a flat route. If it's an 8 or a 9, he's going to run an angle route. So that way we don't have to have that extra verb in there and tag, T angle or T flat. We can just tell them in the protection. But the protection is the same for the O-line, no matter what 60s it is. It's 60s protection. All right. Now, in terms of how we talk to the QB about this, so we've talked about what the routes are and what their coaching points are. All right, for the QB, all right, to keep it simple for them, especially early on as you're just trying to install this play. All right, you can kind of get into that world where you look at, is it a 1 high or 2 high look? Now, I try to stay away from strictly saying 1 high or 2 high. There's got to be some more elements to it. But we can start with, is it a 1 high or 2 high look? All right, let's say we get a base 2 high look, a quarters coverage look, cover 4 type of scenario right there. Our quarterback is going to peek the post. All right, and if this safety here ends up playing the dig route, or he plays anything underneath, or he bites up on run because we got a flash action or something like that, and that post is open, we'll take it. If not, if the post is dead versus 2 high, it's cover 2 and that safety bails over the top. We just don't like the throw because the corner's playing it well, whatever it might be. If we don't like the post throw, we got to get back to our triangle. What's our triangle? Our triangle is always going to be comprised of our dig. There's the top point of our triangle. Our first short route, which is our shallow crosser. There's the bottom point 1. All right. And then our short route from the back. All right. There's our bottom point 2. And that creates a nice little triangle on the field here. All right. What this triangle does when executed correctly, and when we get our back out and when we get things flowing naturally, this triangle starts to force these underneath defenders to have to both cover horizontally across the field and vertically in the high-low region with the shallow and the dig. So now we're stressing them both vertically and horizontally. And because we have our sideline concept and our big post, the over-the-top defenders have things they have to cover, so they don't have as much help over the top. So those underneath defenders start to get put into more stress. So that's why we call it the triangle concept. All right. And then if we teach it this way, as we start building off of it, we'll have more answers. So off of those 2 high looks, if that post is there, great. If not, let's get back to our triangle underneath and let's find the open guy. If we get a 1 high look, you're getting cover 1, you're getting cover 3. All right, single high looks. All right, let's peek our out route or our sideline concept over here. Maybe it's a cover 3 look and that corner's bailing hard over the top, and this nickel doesn't do a good job of expanding fast enough to the curl flat. Boom, hit that out route, hit it on the sideline, get it outside, go take those 12 yards. Maybe he gets yards after the catch. Great. Otherwise, it still should be a nice completion play for us right there. All right. If we don't like the look, maybe it's cover 1 and the corner's doing a hell of a job taking away that out route. He's doing a good job man-to-man coverage, presses him, disrupts it, whatever it might be. You don't like this sideline concept, get back to your triangle concept, because we still have these guys in stress underneath. They still have horizontal stretches and high-low vertical stretches that they have to account for. So this way, for our QBs, if you get that cover 3, single high cover 1 look, you have a place to look to that sideline concept, get back to your triangle if you don't like it. If you get that 2 high world, look to that post. If you don't like it, get back down to your triangle. All right. If you get just straight cover 0 man-to-man, you're probably going to be looking, what's my best matchup? All right. Where do I like it? Who's got the best chance to win? What's the best matchup on the field? And we'll go from there. All right. So that's just a basic way to install it. All right. Let's watch some film here real quick. Let me show you some of these other pictures first. All right, so you can see here, the beauty of this concept is we can run it, and you'll see it through the film. We can run it out of anything. We can run it out of 11 personnel, 12 personnel, 10 personnel. If you want to, down the road, you can get to empty and do the same things. All right, you can run it out of 2x2. You can run it out of 3x1. All right, here's that 3-by-1 formation, like I said earlier. All right, the F was tagged on the drive route, so the Y still the next inside receiver. He's still running the dig. All right, so you're still getting that triangle concept still happening. There's one piece of the triangle. There's another piece of the triangle. There's the top piece of the triangle. All right, so you're still getting the same concept across the board. You're giving the defense a bunch of different looks at how you're running it. All right, but for the quarterback, we can teach it to him relatively the same way. Doesn't matter what the formation of the personnel is. We're getting the same looks. We've got our big post. We've got our sideline concept. We've got our triangle. 1 high, 2 high gives you where you need to look first. And if those options aren't there, you can get back down to your triangle. So let's take a look at it from here. Here we are in a 2-by-2 look. All right. This is just our F drive concept here. Our F is this number 2 receiver up top. All right. So since he's got the drive route, the number 1 receiver to the bottom will run the post. The number 2 receiver will to the bottom here will run the dig, and the number 1 receiver up top will run that sideline concept. And again, since it's not tagged anything specific here, it'll just be an out route up top. All right. So as you see here, we're in our drop back world, 2-by-2 10 personnel. All right. We have that drive route coming from the top there. Hopefully this film is running smooth for you. So as the quarterback drops back, he sees he's got to visualize the safeties. All right, you got to see what the safeties are doing here. Pre-snap, they're giving us a 2-high look. So quarterback in his mind is probably thinking, all right, I'm looking at a 2-high shell. If they stay in 2-high world, I'm going to look to that post. All right, they stay in a 2-high world, so his eyes should be going to the post here. Now what he sees is he sees this safety bailing pretty hard. All right, and once that happens, he's got to quickly decipher that safety's bailing hard. There's probably a good chance that post is going to get eaten up. I'm not going to spend too much time looking at it. I'm going to get down to my triangle. Now we see our triangle developing here. All right, back gets out here. So if I pause right here, now I know the ball's already thrown, but we've created our triangle. There's the 2 bottom pieces of it. All right, and there's the top piece of our triangle. All right, if you look at the defenders underneath, they're spread pretty thin. The over-the-top defenders, the corners and the safeties, are playing deep. They got to take away that post route. All right, the corner up top has got to be worried about that out route, so he's stretched out over there. The backside safety doesn't have any vertical threats, so now he's trying to help over anything over the middle. So you got 4 guys over the top. They've only got 3 underneath defenders to cover 3 underneath routes, so to speak, with the dig. All right, and then the 2 short routes, and they're stretched pretty thin across the board. They're stretched both horizontally across the field and vertically high-low. This backer here happens to chase the dig and play the high route. This backer underneath here, and these guys both chase the shallow short route, or sorry, not the shallow, but the short route from the running back, that swing to the boundary right there. And that leaves our shallow crosser wide open. So our quarterback sees that, gets it to him. All right, we get him in space. It's a 10-yard gain, not great, especially when you have this much space. You'd like to see that guy make a miss and go get some more yards after contact. But nonetheless, it's 1st down and 10. We get 10 yards on it, so at least we're moving those sticks, and we've gotten ourselves a new set of downs right there.